And joining us right now, great pleasure to welcome to our show today a man who has written a book. I think, unfortunately, maybe more people will need the help than really wanted to, but it's going to be helpful nonetheless. It's called Never Apply for a Job Again. Break the rules, cut the line, and beat the rest. We're joined by career counselor Darrell W. Gurney today on the telephone. Darrell, thanks for being with us. How are you?
Thank you, Doug. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Good to have a chance to talk with you a little bit. And I know when you write a book like this about applying for work, I mean, it's a helpful thing, but I guess more people are going to need it than we all want, right?
Well, absolutely. And actually, this one is actually about not applying for work, and that's the big wake-up call that I'm hoping to convey through this. You've always heard, Doug, that it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? And that's what I'm trying to convey here is that rather than going through the front door, applying for jobs like everyone else, it's about getting known. And this is the how-to to the who's, of who you want to know.
I guess everybody's done it. I've done it. I mean, you're always kind of doing it if you're in this business. You see what else is out there. I guess we all make that same mistake of now you do it online more, but in the old days you just kind of look through the want ads and either send out a resume and hope something sticks, right? I mean, but that's not the best way to go about it, is it?
Well, no. I mean, here's the thing. In regular times, more rudimentary, job search skills will suffice, but we all know these aren't regular times, and the economy is never going to be, quote, back the way it used to be. And so this has been a real wake-up call these last few years that people really need to learn how to manage their own career and take charge and be their own promoter and really get out there. Like you said, in the old days you look through the classifieds and now you go on to online job boards. But when you go in that route, you're one of 10,000, every other Tom, Dick, and Harriet that's pursuing that particular, position. And what this is about going behind the scenes. It's about using the power of relationships. Look, we all know the power of relationships because we all, have friends and we've all done things with friends. And this is about how do you create friends and get liked out there so that you are hearing about those opportunities before they're even, publicly advertised in that way.
Yeah, you talk about in the book different ways that you can meet people that actually can do the actual hiring. You try and avoid HR whenever you can, but how would you tell somebody right now? Obviously, if you're kind of scrambling, maybe you just got laid off or whatever, and you're in trouble for money pretty soon. Does this process take longer, or can you do it almost as fast?
Well, you can definitely do it as fast. It does take a mindset shift, okay, and that's the biggest thing. I mean, principle number one says the best way to get a job is don't be looking for one. Now, that sounds crazy, because people really need that job, and need and desperation works in job search as well as it does in dating, right? In other words, when you're coming out there from need, what happens is that people want to help, but if they can't help, you kind of repel them because they don't want to be in a situation where they can't help. People want to win. They don't want to lose.
Right.
And therefore, the best thing you can do is drop the desperate need. And principle number two says an ounce of research is worth a pound of job search. So what I'd say to listeners right now is get clear about what are you really fascinated about and interested in, and what are the things that turn you on, and go out and put together your questions around those areas. And then, as I spell out very descriptively and never apply for a job again, there's ways that you can then approach people in those areas of interest and actually get in front of them by using the power of psychology, the power of ego. And it's all about knowing and getting known by the people in your areas of interest. Then you create antennas. And no, it doesn't take longer. It's just that you've got to really play it differently. Does that make sense?
No, I understand. I read through it, and I agree with that. I just want to take it from another angle. Maybe people say, well, I don't really have a lot of time to, I am desperate for a job. Do you have to almost act as if you're not, I guess, in that sense, and try and approach it that way? It's a difficult switch to make, but I guess once you make it, then you're on your way, right? Is that
Well,
what you're?
I get on my soapbox in the book quite a bit to kind of try to help people get that out of their change their thinking. Dr. Phil has a saying. Is like how's that working for you?
Yeah.
So how's that desperate neediness working for you? Now I'm not diminishing that people may have that feeling. What I am saying though is that look, if you want a girlfriend, boyfriend, a husband, a wife, you're going out there in life, desperate, needy for it. You just ain't going to attract it, and that's a very good parallel for what I'm talking about here.
How would you say? You mentioned already about trying to get in with the person that can actually do the hiring, but maybe an expert in the field that you're interested in. It's tough sometimes to get through either their secretary, receptionist, or whatever. How do you do that?
Well, again, you're not going to get in if you coming to them for your desperate needs. So we'll just underline that again. So what there is to do is you want to get very clear about the things that you, like I said, are very interested in, the areas that you really want to research, and then you want to appeal to the ego, okay? Look, all of us have egos, and we're all susceptible to being approached from our, quote, expert status. One of the principles in the book says, call me expert, and I'll open my door. And what that basically says is that if you approach someone not because you need, and by the way, I want you to be clear, Doug, and your listeners to be clear, this isn't a trick. This isn't about tricking. This is about changing the mindset. But if you can really come from the point of view of the information you're looking to gain, and you can appeal to people as the expert in that field, you can get 5 minutes with people.
Mm-hmm.
And see, 5 minutes in front of somebody, actually in front of somebody, as opposed to over the phone or through social media or something like that. 5 minutes can be the basis of building a connection and building a relationship. Okay,
right.
And that's what we're driving for here. Is we want to bring, a lot of people use social media too, and I say social media is a tool, but what you want to do is you want to bring high touch to the high tech. You need to get in front of people because then chemical reactions and bonding principles start to take place.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I mean, that's great, all Facebook and LinkedIn and all that, and you have all these connections, but most of them are virtual connections unless you actually meet the person, right? It doesn't always help you.
Yeah, well, again, they are good tools.
Mm-hmm.
And so cultivating a lot of, quote, friends and a lot of people that you're linked in with and everything is great, but where the real power is going to come is when that face-to-face time happens. As I said, when you get in front of somebody, and here's another tip for your listeners they can use right now, is that the next interview you go on, and ideally when you read Never Apply for a Job Again, it's not going to be an interview, but it's going to be a backdoor meeting or a stealth meeting. But the next time you go on one, make sure the first thing you start talking about is them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is another part of that applying human psychology here, is that it's better to be interested than interesting.
Mm.
And whenever you do approach somebody as the expert, you approach someone because of the unique information and knowledge they may have that could be helpful to you, and you approach them from the point of view of their life, their situation, what have they learned, you build an enormous amount of relationship equity. And what that does is, again, it kind of starts to lodge you in their mind, and they become an antenna for you when news or opportunities come up in those areas.
Yeah, good tips there. We're talking with Darrell W. Gurney. Never Apply for a Job Again is the name of the book. And Darrell, as a person who really makes a career out of being a career advisor, are you kind of optimistic of what's ahead in the next couple of years? I mean, how do you see the overall situation with jobs? Are you up about it, or are you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I wish I was an economist and I could tell people how we create more jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that. I'm a career strategist. I tell people how to compete best for them, and I do think, I mean, the numbers are looking, better. We've still got a few years of an employment unemployment rate that we've not been used to. And at the same time, I think what is good about this and what I've seen over the last few years is that it's causing people to wake up more. Because just like you said earlier, people can't just go do the same thing and apply the same way they used to and get responses back. So the good thing is that people are taking more charge of their careers. They're learning how to cultivate and manage relationships. Because, see, that's where your job security is always going to be, is whenever you have a career tribe that you've developed, that you nurture it, and it really is going to be always the way you'll hear about your next opportunity, even before maybe you're tired of the one that you're in.
Yeah, good information. Well, the name of the book is Never Apply for a Job Again. Break the rules, cut the line, and beat the rest. We've been talking with Darrell W. Gurney today. Darrell, give out a website. People can contact you and get the book.
Absolutely. If they go to Career Guy, G-U-Y, careerguy.com, you can click on the book right there. There's also some freebies, some free ebooks, and for the beginning of the year, I put together 10 New Year Command Your Career resolutions that they can download for free as well.
Oh, great, yeah, and good information there, and just as someone who read through the book, it's an easy read. I'm going to give you some good tips laid out, so people I think are going to want to get this, and it's not going to cost you a lot either. It's not a big hardcover; it's a nice soft cover, so you're helping people out that may be a little financially challenged too, Darrell. Thank you for that for them.
Well, thank you, and thank you for spreading the word. Like I said, the commitment here is that people do get to be in charge of where they go and who they know. And, there's always a better opportunity out there looking for you. You just got to reach out and connect with other people to catch it.
Great. Darrell Gurney's been our guest. Thanks for being with us, and we look forward to talking to you again down the road. Thanks for joining us today.